Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a blog. And we're going to be using Google's blogging tool Blogger, which is at blogger.com. And everyone should already have their Gmail account. So we can just log in with that same username and password. Assuming I remembered that. Okay, and then you're going to come to this first page that asks you to sign up. Now, it already has your email account. It should be your Gmail account. It has your name. Now, you pick a display name, and that's something that you want to identify you, because it's going to come up throughout any blogs that you may comment on or any blog that you create. So, I'm just going to keep this one at Ed422 student. You can opt to have them send you announcements. I usually don't do that. Let's accept the terms of service there. Then you're going to hit continue. And this takes you to the old blogging dashboard. And so if this is what you see, hopefully it is, we're going to go ahead and scroll down. And in the middle of all of these that says tools and resources, we're going to go ahead and click something called Blogger in Draft. And there's a whole new backend to Blogger that is actually a lot easier to use. So I'm going to go ahead and click Blogger in Draft. And you get this nice smooth flow here. And up here I want to ensure that I check make Blogger in Draft my default. That way any subsequent blog that I create will be able to use this. And quite simply, we can create a new blog by hitting this button. And the thing I like about Blogger also is that the title and the address can be changed at a later date. So many blogging tools kind of lock you into whatever initial title you chose, and it gives the address for you. So we'll just call this, if you're in the 422 class, this will be Ed422 student makes a blog. And the address, this is also cool because you can choose a custom address and have it make sense. So in this particular case, as the instructor, I always name all my 422 blogs Ed422 summer 11.blogspot.com or whatever. I always use the course, the term, and the year, and that way I can pretty much always get that address. So in this case, I would imagine Ed422 student, how about I spell it correctly, Ed422 student is available. So that's going to actually be my web address, ed422student.blogspot.com, which is cool. And then you can pick a template. They give you, and these can always be customized later. Again, the title and address can always be changed later. But I'm going to go with this picture window. That one's kind of fun. And then very simply, I'm going to create the blog. I'm going to take a minute here. You see it says creating. It says Ed422 student makes a blog was successful. So I can either start posting right away and go with all of the default settings, or I can, view the blog as it would be. But what I'm going to do is have you click on the name of the blog. And when you do that, again, it takes you to the back end. And if you look over here on the left-hand side, this is a huge menu of options for us to either customize the blog or to get deeper. So very simply, in the creation of this blog, there's only a couple things that I want to make sure that you understand. I can go in here to the posts, which is the way a blog is usually run. It's a series of chronological posts where you either give information or you will be embedding assignments later. And I can just very simply create a new post by hitting that button. And I can manage my post by clicking that. You also have the ability to put pages in a blog, which again I'll talk about later on in the semester, but pages are really cool because they're not chronological, so they can stay at the top or on the side of your blog and have easy access to them. You can see all the comments that people might leave on your blog posts. Honestly, stats and earnings is unimportant for what we're looking at. Now, layout is interesting. Layout is the back end of your blog. So you see in this particular default layout here, we have the title of the blog. We have where the blog post will be on the left-hand side, and then you have a gadget row on the right-hand side. and the default gives you followers, an archive to your blog, and an about me. And very simply, to add things, you would click add a gadget. Let me model that real quickly, and you would simply choose from this list. So if I wanted to add a picture, I would click that. It would go on there. If I wanted to add, one of the things that I'm always adding are links lists, whether it's giving you a set of resources that you can click on and go to, or whether I'm going to add a blog roll, something where I want to link a bunch of other blogs onto from my blog, so they're very easy to get to. But you get all of these options that you can go ahead and customize your blog by adding gadgets. The other thing that I like is the template. Now notice we had the default, and this tells us right here, live on blog right now. We chose this picture window one, and it has a default picture behind it. We could also go in and change it to one that's one of these simple templates, another type of picture window template, one of what they call the awesome blog posts, or one of these watermarks, ethereal, travel. So you've got all these options down here. But let's say we're going to go ahead and stick with this one. Here's where we can customize this blog. And then under customizing, we have a bunch of options. So again, we can easily change the template from here as well. One thing that people like to do is change the background. So I can either remove this image, or I can just click on the side there, and I can scroll through all of these: abstract, the arts, business. They're all categories, and in those categories, food and drink here, in these categories are all these possible background options. So let's say we like this little funky watermelon looking one. Notice I click that, and now that is the new background to my blog. And then I can change the color scheme, which usually has to do with the way the text looks in some of the boxes. Let's say I want to go with a darker color to match the watermelon, so I'm going to go with that. So I can easily, and again, this can always go, I could go back in and re-customize it. One thing that I'm always interested in is adjusting the width. I want the entire blog to be as wide as possible. I'm more interested in having a wider blog so that it's easier for people to read and they don't have to do as much scrolling. So I'm going to make the entire blog as wide as I can, which then gives me a much larger posting area. The layout itself, we were with the default blog column and then one sidebar for gadgets. I highly recommend that, whether the sidebar is on the right hand side or in this case on the left hand side. It makes it easier for people to read your blog, especially when you're just learning how to blog. And then lastly, the advanced, I don't really recommend that unless you really are feeling comfortable. The advanced really allows you to go in and change all of these different options. And one of the things that you need to be careful of is you could end up changing a text color or adding a font that is either hard to read or can't be read at all. So I would highly encourage you not to use advanced till you feel really comfortable on the blog. So let's say we like what we did, we like our funky little watermelons, and then up here at the top, you just simply click Apply to Blog. That template is applied. Now I have the option to either view my blog or go back to Blogger. I'm going to go back to Blogger because that's my dashboard. So I've got my blog done, and then the last thing to look at is the settings. And here is great. Here's where I can go in and I can edit the title if I don't like the title that I had. I can give a little description underneath the blog if I want. I can try to change the blog address if I'm not happy with that. I can add authors if I'm going to have multiple people contributing to my blog. Usually I like to have a single author and then have people, give the ability to comment. So we allow anybody to read our blogs, and then the privacy setting, we want it visible to search engines. So once you've done that, you're pretty much ready to start blogging. So you can click New Post, and it ends up looking just like a word processing. You give the post a title, my first post. Obviously, if you're in the 422 class, there's a very specific first posting. It's your intro letter. And then I can just simply put here is where I will add text. And if you notice in the menu bar up here, you have the option of inserting videos. You have the option of inserting pictures into this. And no matter what you add in the post, you can always go back in and change it. So let's say we're happy with our first post. We're going to click Publish. So now we have a post published on our blog, and now we're going to go ahead and view that blog. And so as you can see, my blog has the title, and it also has a post.